be open-minded and be like, okay, he's gonna act different and his family's gonna act different than maybe what I'm used to, but I'm okay with that. So we're giving the easy answer, but it is challenging.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Couple Things
with Shawn and Andrew,
a podcast all about couples
and the things they go through.
Today we have
Isaac and Allison Rochell. This couple has a lot going on, babe.
They do, including my favorite. They just adopted a dog.
They did.
And we got to see him.
So now they have 2 dogs.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful dogs. And also, a couple months ago, Isaac just recently signed with the Indianapolis Colts after having been with the LA Chargers for several years. Isaac played college football at University of Notre Dame, which is where he met his wife as of 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Allison.
Actually, the day we interviewed them was the day they got back from their honeymoon, which is technically their, what do they call it? Their
friend's moon, is that what it's called?
Buddy moon?
Buddy moon?
Buddy moon.
Yeah. Which is where you have a destination wedding with friends.
Yeah.
But it was really timely to do this interview because Shawn and I just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and to speak with a couple who just got married was kind of interesting. It was fun. So we kind of discuss how they're feeling as this whole journey gets started. We talk about their new dogs. We also talk about their Do Good Foundation, which is something he'll talk more about, and their Babes and Braids podcast, which they co-host together. This is a really fun couple. I enjoyed getting to know them. I'm thankful they took the time to join us. And before we get into it, if we haven't yet, please, babe,
subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yes, and give it a rating while you're at it. And let's go ahead and roll in this one with Isaac and Allison Rochell. Isaac and Allison, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for taking the time. I know you guys literally just came back from your wedding, so congratulations and glad to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're both super pumped. We're already starting to talk like each other. 4 days into marriage, but we're super excited to be here.
Wait, I have so many questions because a wedding is a huge deal. So first, how did the wedding go?
It was a dream. It was like literally
it was incredible. I would not have changed one single thing except maybe like the whole pandemic situation, but
that didn't even really affect it. So just fun fact, we were planning the wedding and we got engaged end of July, started planning like within 24 hours. It was crazy.
Interest.
I mean, we were fired up, but we were planning like this 150 to 200 person wedding. We set the budget. We were ready to go. And then by like October, we were like wedding planning fatigued. Like we were
less than 2 months.
And we love to travel.
Sounds right.
2 months, but like can't do it. But we were kind of like, you know what, we love to travel. Let's do a destination wedding with 60 of our closest family and friends, keep the same budget and just do it right. So that's kind of how we came to have this movie like 60-person wedding in Cabo. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful.
It was unreal.
Wow.
It was perfect.
You just used a term right before we started rolling called a buddy moon. Explain.
Yes. So I didn't even know that term was a thing. I've heard of baby moon, I've heard of honeymoon, but I've never heard of buddy moon. And so while we were planning, my wedding planner, who is a saint, like I do not know if we would have had a wedding without her, but she was like, oh, like, are you guys planning on doing a buddy moon after? And I was like, what is that? And she was like, oh, all of your friends like come a few days before, a few days after, and you guys kind of do like a honeymoon, but with your friends.
Yeah.
And we were like,
awesome.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a way to do it. What a great way. Dang, that's a good way to start things off.
So having gone through your wedding already, I feel like for us, there's so much anticipation that for like the build up to the wedding. And then it happens in a day and you're like, whoa, okay, now what?
Totally.
So how does it feel to be married? Does it feel like everything's different or everything's the same?
That's the bride question. What do you think?
It's actually funny that you mentioned that because the next morning I was like, I'm like so happy I have a husband. I was like, I'm a little depressed. Like everything I've been planning over the past few months and now it's over. And so now I'm like waiting for our videographer to give us like our wedding video because I just want to keep reliving.
Yeah,
but it's a little depressing. Not that I don't love you and want to spend the rest of my life with you, but like that was a great time.
Well, and I disagree. I mean, we ended the wedding and it's like the next day, everybody was still there. So we're like, all right, let's go back down to the pool and have some drinks and hang out. So it was unreal, but there's definitely like the weird, like, God, we had all this planning to do like every day. Allie's like, here's your list of stuff to do. And then you have this, what I think is a super relaxing period where it's like, all right, we can breathe for a second, enjoy being married, randomly get another dog like as soon as we land.
Wow.
But I mean, it was fun for us planning, and you learn a lot about each other.
So I'm excited to speak with you because I think there's a lot of similarities, especially in experiences. The day after Shawn and I got married, this is poor planning on my part, but we had to fly out to Oakland to start OTAs. So we literally got married, then like 6 hours later had an early morning flight and had to fly out west. But you also, both of you spent a lot of time in Indiana, which is where I was born and raised. Isaac, you're obviously playing in the NFL. I grew up a Colts fan. Pumped about your new deal with them. So congrats on that.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro.
Couple areas of hesitation though. I did see that, is it Allison, you have a cat?
I do have a cat.
That's a little bit of a red flag, but I'm sure we can make it past it.
It's not a red flag.
It is a little red flag. This cat's tight.
You guys are just going to have to make a trip out to come and visit her because she is one of a kind. And I feel like I don't even label myself as a cat person, but once you meet her, you're like, okay, I'm not a cat person, but I'm a Gracie person, which is her name.
I got you.
Bro, this cat's 25 pounds. Like this thing is like a dog.
Dang.
Wait, is it like
It's a rag doll.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Is it like a Maine Coon or something?
It's very similar. Yeah, it's very similar.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know cat breeds like that, so I'm gonna just.
That's the only one I know.
Siamese cat, I think is maybe.
Bro,
the
so
one.
you fully understand the like. I was trying to explain this to her. The like getting married / like I still have a full-time job that I need to be thinking about. Because like OTAs, we're starting OTAs on Monday virtually, but still we didn't know. And I was like, man, I'm gonna be like, I gotta get my mind and body right to like go compete immediately. So you totally understand that.
Well, what better way to do that than drink a couple margaritas in Cabo,
Eat some wedding cake. Yeah.
They're like, do I work out or do I just take it out?
Well, I think that plays into the entire NFL lifestyle. For us, you were with the Chiefs when we got engaged.
Let me preface this by saying, Isaac, your experience in the NFL has been way different than mine. You're a way more talented athlete, way more committed than I ever was to actually making it happen. And you've had a more successful career as a result. So continue with that being said.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. Okay. No, but the whole NFL lifestyle is it's not what people picture. So for us, we were with the Chiefs when we got engaged, we were planning our wedding and we chose our date. And then he got traded to Oakland. And with OTAs and everything, all the dates changed. And so we found out literally less than a month before our wedding that he had to report the morning after. But it ties into NFL because you guys have been doing this for a while, since 2017 and bouncing around. How has that affected wedding planning and your relationship and deciding to move in together or not, and the whole like bouncing all over the country for the past 5 years?
It's definitely played a huge part in decisions we've made in our relationship. I mean, when I graduated a year after him from college, and immediately when I graduated, I moved out to California because he was with the Chargers. But his first year with the Chargers, he was actually on practice squad. So with practice squad, you guys know this, but it's just definitely not very like concrete, or you don't know if you're going to be there next year and whatnot. So we didn't move in together basically until I think you were going to year 3. Yeah. Just because it was a little bit more stable.
And just to add to that, like we weren't married. We were kind of like in this phase where we were like, we both have to operate independently for a number of reasons. You know, every couple makes their own decisions, but we just thought like she needed to do her thing and I needed to do my thing. And that's kind of why we were like, let's not move in together immediately. But yeah, once we started to progress, you're living in LA and you're like, what are we doing? This is actually
very
crazy expensive.
Dude.
But I would say over the past 2 years, I mean, it's just been super stable, which we are super grateful for. And we know that doesn't happen with people in the NFL usually. But learning that we weren't going to be with the Chargers a month before our wedding was probably not the most ideal situation, because we were fully expecting just to come straight back to the Chargers, but we got the call. And for about 3 days, I was like, okay, how do I look at Zillow in 32 locations?
Right. And Allie, yeah.
Yeah, but you secretly loved it though, Allison. You see the Zillow play.
Yeah.
Sean spent freaking hours on that thing.
Zillow? I was like, well, because you guys know California is super expensive. So I was like, oh, we can definitely buy a house anywhere. Like, we got this.
I secretly would love those calls. It's like, oh, we're deciding between Boston, Detroit, Indianapolis, Florida, Tampa, or okay, let me look at the houses and choose my favorite.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
great.
Our audience was excited to have this conversation and for us to speak with you. And we're excited because you guys are very vocal about your experience as an interracial couple, but also as a multi-religious couple. And you've done podcasts on it. I'm curious if the living together situation was influenced by the religious backgrounds that you each had.
It didn't. I mean, so we came from different backgrounds. Obviously, Allie was in like, the Catholic background. I was in like a very intense Southern Baptist, Bible Belt, all the above type background. But we're thankfully like super aligned when it comes to like how we approach religion. So for us, the decision that we made to move in together was kind of just based on us, right? Like we were not convicted about doing that. We didn't feel bad. We didn't base our decisions based on that. And at the end of the day, a huge factor that went into it is kind of realizing that marriage, and again, everybody has different opinions, but marriage for us was more about timing. And we kind of knew that we wanted to be together, but the timing wasn't necessarily right. And so we were like, why waste time? Why are we wasting time? If we love each other and like we actually see each other being together forever, like we're just wasting time being separate. Like, let's move in, let's get a dog. Let's like actually start life together.
Let's get a dog.
Now let's get two, get three. But we're so thankful we made the decision because we shared unbelievable life experiences before getting married. And then one other thing that I would just talk about on that note is now we are married and we have so much confidence and excitement going into married life because I know who Allie is. Like there's no secrets here. And same with me. Like, you know who I am, you know who I am, how I'm at 6 a.m. when I wake up early, whatever it may be.
You're
Is it grouchy or super happy?
Yeah.
Which one are you?
I'm fired up in the morning. Allie's
Yeah. That's same with us.
I feel that.
Go off of that. Yeah. I think like I personally didn't want to move in until we got engaged because I'm like, well, why would you buy the cow if you're getting the milk for free? That phrase. But then I was like,
first of all, never heard that. Love how you just
I've never heard that. I'm like, so now you want to break out new phrases.
Okay, sorry.
I've never heard that either, and I'm still processing it. Okay.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
But it just came down to I think we just didn't want our religion to prevent us from like being happy together and continue going in our relationship, if that makes sense.
No, I like that. Within your relationship though, and we ask about religion because we just did this podcast on deal breakers, and people really thought that religion could make or break a relationship. And at the end of our podcast, we said, honestly, if the foundation is there to where you guys are operating within the same, journey and path, then it can work. But for you guys within separate, upbringings and religions, how did you guys align yourselves to where it works out for you?
So that's another good question. And one,
so that's a good question. Let me think about that for a second. Well, I think because we had been dating for 5 years before we moved in together. So I think we already had such a great foundation and we kind of like grew up together. I mean, we met when we were 19 years old. So I feel like some couples grow apart or some couples can grow together. And I think that our mindsets just kind of started to become more aligned. And we had
a lot of shared religious experiences. Like we went on a mission trip together. And like, this is like, first year of dating. I'm like, hey, because I was in a religious phase where I was like, let's go on mission trips and do all this stuff. So I was like, come with me. And like, we shared that experience together. And then after reflecting on it, that's like another layer of like making sure you're aligned, right? Because we're discussing that experience. And then it just kept bringing us closer and closer. And like we were more and more aligned every time we had those experiences. So it was a very, like she said, we grew up religiously together, and it was a natural progression to now, like, we know how we want to raise kids without having like very explicit conversations. We're aligned.
Do you feel like either or both of you forfeited some of the traditional values or religious values that you were raised with, or was it really more of like a compromise? Like, hey, this is a conversation that like this fits what I feel like we're about, and this doesn't, and you know what I'm saying?
I mean, 100%. We definitely both kind of were like, all right, let's
take
that. Let's leave that. But I mean, that's anybody's religious experience is very much like that.
Yeah. I think it also helps that we're both a little bit more open-minded. So if he brings something to me and he's like, hey, this is super important to me, I need to be more open-minded to that to make our relationship work and to make our relationship grow.
Yeah, but it's funny, like we've just been to each other's like hometown churches. And it's definitely funny to be like, to like just talk about it after, and Allie be like, wow, I can't believe they said that. And I'm like, wow, that was like super whatever. But yeah.
Today's show is brought to you by Verb. All right, you guys know that we're all about coffee in the East House.
Yes, we love our coffee. We love our caffeine, especially since we have a toddler.
That's right. And every morning, without fail, we make our coffee, but we don't always want to make coffee in the afternoon. So that's why we're excited that we have an afternoon caffeine boost that's not only a little bit of caffeine, but also is a snack.
Yes, and what he's talking about is our Verb bars. We've had to stock up lately. Our energy is running real low, and I can't decide what my favorite flavor is. I think I do know what it is, but what's yours?
I think I gotta go with the cookie butter, but
really?
Dang, do I love the chocolate as well.
Not the salted peanut butter?
They're all delicious.
It's hard like so savory. I love it.
It's hard to just pick one, you know?
They're all, seriously though, so good. And not only do they taste amazing, but I love that I can stash them in my purse for wherever or whenever I might need a snack.
And for a limited time, Verb is offering an exclusive deal to Couple Things listeners. They will ship you 4 of their best-selling flavors for free. All you have to do is pay 95 cents for shipping. Only 95 cents. To claim this deal, you got to go to verbenergy.com/EastFam. That's verbenergy.com/EastFam. We will also link it down below. Let's get back to it. I'm curious, as we mentioned, also that it seems like you've gotten quite a bit of pushback with the interracial relationship that you guys have been in, and you did a whole episode on it. I would love for you to kind of explain what that was and how you've been able to navigate that.
Yeah. I mean, I just think like to start, we kind of have to talk about like just kind of like my personal background racially.
I guess my personal go
like I just came from a place where like there were a lot of issues with interracial relationships. Like in Georgia, my high school, like it was not okay for there to be interracial relationships. And so I've had that like mindset and just kind of that framework for a long time. And then like you can explain kind of your background, which is not as like intense.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a predominantly white area, but my family has always been very diverse in like the people that my parents have hung out with and the experiences my parents have given us. So I have always been open-minded, but I feel like the people around me in my hometown and even like in college maybe been a little bit more closed-minded. I don't even know if closed-minded is the word. I think it's more just, I don't even know what word to use, but so he comes from a place that's like very openly
like low-key kind of racist.
Yeah. And then I come
Georgia,
from Georgia,
is that right?
Yeah, Georgia.
You're from Georgia? Yeah.
And I'm from Michigan. So I mean the South from the North is just very different.
And then so like we start, talking, whatever. And I'm kind of going into the relationship. I'm always like I always, when I would date white girls, I would always ask, like, what is your dad going to think about this? Like, is this going to be an issue? So I kind of still had that, like, I mean, you can call it trauma almost going into this relationship. Her parents were super cool, no issues. But like, definitely she had friends that had like issues with it and would say things like,
I think Isaac's a great guy, but that's because he talks white.
Or like they just would be like, really? Black, but like he goes to Notre Dame, so that's like
like he's educated. I'm just like, why is there ever a cutoff?
It was super weird and bothersome, and then just like,
and then it comes the whole like, oh well, you're only dating him because he's a professional athlete, and I'm like, when people have to find excuses with my relationship, it's like, or I'm just dating him because he's a great guy, despite his color, his job, or his upbringing. Like maybe he's just a great guy.
And like, we have had people that have, like, on her YouTube channel and her Instagram and even mine, like we've had people TikTok, that have like,
it's just,
I mean, they just fire off, and it is something that we've grown kind of numb to. Like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think people who think like that are kind of dumb. I mean, there's no reason to use another word. But it's just like, we have dealt with a lot of issues, but I think more than anything, our core group and the people that were just at our wedding and our families, you know, that's what really matters. People are going to have issues with whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But we're thankful for the people that we do have.
So I feel like whenever you're blending families of any kind, I mean, it could be of whether it's different religion, different language, different culture, there's always going to be disagreements of like whether your family approves or your community approves or whatever. But when it comes to an interracial couple, it's very prominent in the media right now with The Bachelor and just everything. It's been conversations that Andrew and I have had in depth because it's so, I don't want to say discouraging to witness something like that and be like, okay, this could be an amazing moment for the entire world. Let's like actually teach the world something.
Right.
If you could sum up your relationship, because you guys had, I mean, from the 10 minutes we've talked, you guys had a lot working against each other. You had religion, you had community, you had culture, you had upbringing. How do you get past that? You keep saying open-mindedness, which is literally a conversation we had last night about being open-minded. And I love when people are, because I think it's just a human duty that we should be more open-minded to everybody. What would be your one piece of advice to everybody in educating them to be more open-minded and to just see past difference?
Yeah.
Which we do on a daily basis. So
I think it's like a saying I always use is like, leave it at the door, like check it at the door. Andrew, you've probably heard that in football, but it's like, you know, I think some of the stuff you just have to like leave at the door and get to know the person. Like the first time we met, it was a very organic meeting. There was no like setup. You guys are so compatible. You guys both like this and this and this. It was like, we just met. Right. And then you start to unpack all this other stuff. And, you know, if you're 3 weeks into really like falling in love with somebody and then you learn some of these other things, it's like super easy to digest. Right. And so that's kind of how it worked for us. So my advice would be, you know, check your pride, check all the other stuff at the door and really just get to know somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is such a hard thing to answer, especially when you're like, I feel like I grew up and I'm so grateful for my upbringing because my parents never taught us to discriminate. They always taught us to be open-minded. And I mean, I can't even say like open-mindedness enough, because if I wasn't open-minded, I'd be like, oh, like things I see on the media about like somebody with this religion, I'm going to assume this about them. And so I just have to be open-minded to that. That is just like one thing. And I can't take that and apply it to multiple people. So open-mindedness.
And let's not get it twisted, though.
And then I want to go one step further.
Wait, I'm going to cut you off. I wanted to hear what Isaac had to say.
Yes. Go.
My bad.
No, I was going to say, let's not get it twisted. Like, it's very challenging, right? Like, if you met my dad, for instance, because I'm interracial, my dad is like totally different. The way he talks, culturally, everything from her family. And so like, it's all like, they're so cute, like whatever, like there's still like a process that has to happen. Like, Allie does have to like meet my dad and like learn more about my culture and like what's going on. So I think like we're giving like the like oversimplified answer that's like, you know, just fall in love. But it is very challenging. You do have to be open-minded and be like, okay, he's going to act different and his family's going to act different than maybe what I'm used to, but I'm okay with that. So we're giving the easy answer, but it is challenging.
Yeah.
Today's show is also brought to you by Harmless Harvest.
I am so excited about this brand. Okay, if you don't know already, Andrew and I are both lactose intolerant, and so is Drew, which I hoped we wouldn't pass that on, but we did. I finally found the answer for our dairy-free needs.
This product has taken over our fridge.
It really has. I am obsessed with yogurt, and I've been searching for years for a good dairy-free alternative. And what we had found is the perfect yogurt. It's Harmless Harvest organic dairy-free yogurt, which is super creamy and delicious. And it's cultured with 7 live and active yogurt strains. And it comes in 4 different flavors. It truly hits different than any other dairy-free yogurt I've tried.
Hits different. Also, major bonus points because Drew loves it.
She's obsessed with it. Plus, I feel great about her eating it because it's plant-based, dairy-free, soy-free, vegan yogurt alternative made from hand-scooped organic coconut meat.
I've been loving the strawberry flavor. I also love the vanilla. The plain is also solid.
It is so good. It makes the perfect yogurt parfait. Put it in a smoothie. I'm obsessed.
Drew's favorite is for sure the blueberry.
To learn more about Harmless Harvest dairy-free yogurt, visit their website at harmlessharvest.com or follow them on Instagram at Harmless Harvest.
It's a great company. Check them out. We'll also link it down below. I do want to say, Allison, you said people told you were just dating Isaac because he's a professional athlete, but based off TikToks I've seen, Isaac, it seems like you're just dating Allison because she's 6 foot. How tall are you?
I am 6 feet tall.
Just for the D1 babies, is that right? Is that what that's
D1 babies? You know what's funny? My dad gave me 2 pieces of advice. My dad's country. He always says I'm country fried chicken. Like my dad is a huge country dude.
We're just giving you guys all these new sayings. You guys can use them all the time. So.
And he always said, do not marry. I'll give you one piece of advice. He goes, don't marry a short girl. So I'm not saying anything against short girls. He was so out of control with saying that.
But he got his wish. He was like, oh, the grandbabies, they're going to be so tall. And like, let's get through the first week of marriage and then we can talk about grandbabies later.
Right,
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Yeah, the day after our wedding at breakfast, he goes, so grandkids. And I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
Funny. I do kind of want to hear the story of how you 2 first met because this is on your wedding website.
Yes.
And there's 2 beverages involved, vodka and coffee. So give us the debrief here.
Well, I'll start it off. So just a quick background. My sister dated and still dates somebody from Notre Dame, and he was teammates with Isaac. So one weekend, I decided to go down to Notre Dame because I went to Michigan State. I just kind of want to get away for the weekend, have some fun, whatever. And then I decided to go out to a party one night and take it away.
Yeah, and I was hosting recruits. Andrew, you probably know all about that, having to host recruits in college. And I was not really in the phase of my life where I was really like going out, trying to turn up, have a good time. I was kind of in like a chill phase.
Opposite of me.
Yeah.
I was like, vodka.
So I was like, you know what, I'll go out because I have to host these recruits. And I walk in this party and I see Allie there. And she had on a crop top and Tim's on. And I was like, I've never in my life seen a white girl with a crop top and Tim's on. And I was like, I gotta talk to her. So, that's just like my goal. So then one of my homies was actually talking to her and he was like, hey, come take a shot with us. And I was like, bro, you know, I hate shots. And I'm like, kind of sorry.
I'm like, have a shot with me. Come on.
And I'm like, God, now I'm about to look like a bum with this girl that looks great. And then she was like, well, if you won't take a shot, have a beer with me. So we sat there and had a beer together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We talked for like 2 hours. And then fast forward to the next day, we were texting each other because we exchanged numbers. And I was studying for finals. And she was like, hey, well, like if you kind of want to escape studying for your finals, let's go on a date. And I was like, all right, let's go get coffee.
I did not say
You
date.
asked him out, huh?
No, I did not say
On a
date.
date.
You're making that up.
Okay, well, what did you say?
I was like, do you want to go get coffee? That's not a date.
Regardless, we ended up at a coffee shop and we chatted for 4 hours. And it was
That's
like
a date.
That's a date.
That's a date.
It's a date.
quite literally
It's
a
definitely
date.
It's okay. It's okay.
I asked about school.
And then so the rest is kind of history. Here we are.
Well, wait. He left out a very important piece of information is that at the end of the date, he actually texted his brother telling him how that he like met the girl he was going to marry and all this stuff, but he accidentally sent me.
Where I was at.
No.
Oh my gosh.
It was, at the time, I'm like, this is worst case scenario. Do you know how bumpy I was? I felt like such a bum. And then
I was like, wait, I thought he didn't like me.
God, I was like,
oh no, he's gonna marry you.
Yeah, I was like, apparently I'm already engaged. So
well, I was texting my brother like, bro, I haven't been out in a while, and like I finally go out and I meet this girl. She's great. Like
she's wearing Tim's and a crop top.
Is that what you wore to the coffee shop too, Allison?
She's been wearing it ever since.
Yeah, cut it out now. Yeah.
Okay, just because we've also talked on podcasts about like pickup lines and first impressions.
Yeah, I do want to hear.
When
this.
you actually received that text message on accident, what was your initial?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's funny. Yeah. It's actually funny because and super cheesy, but I actually texted my mom that night, and I was like, "Mom, I met a guy that drives a truck and listens to country music. I'm gonna marry him." So it was like,
oh my gosh, that's really cute.
He checks all the boxes. Drives a truck, listens to country music.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, she's got on Tim's.
Hold on, but what was the pickup line?
Very simple standards. We're like,
do you remember the pickup line? What'd you say?
I mean, it was literally.
My pickup line was, "Do you want to take a shot?" Very romantic.
Well, you saying when she was like, "Well, will you just have a beer with me?" I'm like, I'm just glad to be here talking to you. Like, sure, I'll have a beer with you. What are we talking about? And we were like both. I guess you weren't really just out of a relationship, but I was kind of just out of another relationship, and like. I was in a super, like, I'm listening to country music, but I'm also listening to Drake. Like, I'm in my feels. So we were, like, talking about, like, do you believe in true love? Like, just corny, like, just hanging out, like, acting like we know what we're talking about. But it was, like, it was kind of perfect timing, though. Mm-hmm. The country phase is kind of random. Yeah, it's ended, but.
I feel like it's worth saying, Isaac, I actually rarely hosted recruits. I don't think I was ever in a phase of life and my coaches knew this, where I was like the fun one. It was like, if we send this recruit with Andrew, they're for sure not coming to Vanderbilt. So it was always.
Well, you're like, don't do it. But I was the guy who was like, I was scheming, trying to get the $80 because they'd give you $80.
This is hilarious. I did not know this.
So I got along with all the people that were like in charge making decisions. So I was like, listen, if you ever have recruits, like send them with me.
Send them my way.
I'll handle it. And at the time, I'm not really going out like that, but I'm still just trying to get the free meal and $80.
Dang. So then you dated for 5 years. You got engaged last July on a podcast that Allison, the Chargers, had you hosting. Was it Better Halves? Is that what the name of it was?
Yep, Better Half Podcast.
Did you know it was coming?
I didn't know it was coming, but I kind of did. And the reason I say that is because I actually went to go and work out with a few of the wives from the Chargers. And while we were there, a few of them were like, "Oh, you guys going to like this, like Jerry's tonight on the beach?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And one of the girls was like, "Well, I don't want to go if you're not going." And then Isaac called me like right after my workout. He goes, "Hey, we're going to this house tonight." And I was like, "Okay, I think I'm getting engaged there," because I would have already been ready. But then you were just kind of acting a little weird.
So she has this really like it's crazy. I don't know if you guys get into like have you ever heard of like Monica the Medium?
No.
Or like what's that girl's name?
Well, anyways.
Fill us in. I'm curious. Who's Monica?
It's unreal. So Allie's, well, you can tell the story.
So my grandma passed away. It might not seem relevant, but it's definitely relevant. So my grandma passed away my freshman year of college. She passed away before Christmas, but she had already got me a present for Christmas. And on Christmas, I opened up this jewelry box in the shape of an owl. And on the inside, it says, "I will always love you." And ever since then, whenever I see owls, it's like a symbol.
We see them it is like.
We see them at like the perfect times.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So the morning we got engaged, I was actually scrolling on TikTok and I saw an owl and I was like, I'm getting engaged today.
It was like this crazy TikTok with like, I mean, when you ever see owls, anyways, like with like 40 owls in the video, and she messaged me and she was like, "I don't know why, but I just feel like today is going to be a great day."
Yeah.
And I was like,
dang.
And this was when I was going over to get her ring. Like I literally was going to pick up her ring from my homie's house. And she messaged me that, and I like got chills. I'm like, this is crazy, because she's like, she doesn't know that she's about to get proposed to in like 2 hours.
Crazy. I didn't, but it kind of, I was like, we'll see.
First of all, the scene where you guys got engaged, the backdrop was like, dude.
Yeah, we're actually currently at the hotel.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
wow. Full circle.
We planned it. Yeah. Any live things we do, we come back.
Yeah, we come all the way back here and do them here. No.
Yeah.
But it was gorgeous. And Isaac knows I'm like all about like capturing things on videos. It's my favorite part of like having a YouTube channel is I have all these memories I can look back on. And so the backdrop was just amazing. It made for great photo backdrop.
And then I had like, because I know how she is, I had like a whole, like
he went and picked out outfits. He took my friend and he went to like the mall and he made her try on outfits for me and had them waiting.
Nah.
Yeah, for the engagement party. Like I had an engagement party for later already planned. And like, it was just like it's kind of a magical day. You're welcome.
Wow.
Did you say so yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about vlogging in two ways. Allison, you've been in the game for a minute. I want to hear about why you got into it. And then Isaac, I also want to hear about your experience vlogging in the NFL, in college. Because first of all, there's not a lot of people that have done it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like I used to before I stopped getting calls. Now, the phone's quiet, bro. I got nothing. And then maybe a handful of others. But how'd you get into it, Allison?
Honestly, so while I was in college, I was going through a really bad time in my life where I had really bad hormonal acne. And so I was always on YouTube, like researching how to cure it, blah, 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 blah. And then I started finding girls on there that were like, oh, here's a vlog of my day and here's this. And I just kind of fell in love with YouTube. And so I kind of started like around junior year of college, but at that time it was like not like something people did. So it was very awkward to like pull out a camera and talk to yourself. But eventually Isaac came around to, well, not that you weren't with it, but you came around to like the idea of just being cool with me. Like, hey guys, we're here. But my favorite part about it is definitely looking back on the memories. Like when he got drafted, I was vlogging that whole weekend and it's
crazy.
So much fun looking back on that stuff.
Isaac, she did a video I was looking at of like the pep rally back. This is one of your first videos. And you were cheesing so hard. You were up on stage like
big.
I loved it, dude.
It's so funny. Like when she first started vlogging, I was like, bro, you know how it is when you're in like a locker room in that setting. I'm like, do not put me on this thing. I'm not trying to be in a team meeting and have them start clowning me. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be in it. But she's really good at it. Like there's an art form to it. You can't just be kind of, I don't know how to explain it. You guys get it. So I just kind of was like, sure, like I'll just get into it. And then I've done like a couple little vlogs, but I don't even consider myself a quote unquote YouTuber.
It's funny how far he's came though, from like not really being okay with it because of like teammates. And then like to TikTok where I'm like, hey, can you dress up as a girl for this TikTok? And he's like, oh God, I'm about to get clowned in the locker.
I told her, I'm like, that video can be up for like a few hours. If it starts rolling, you can keep it up. If not, it's coming down. Like,
I did the same thing to him. I did the same thing to him with a YouTube video where I did a full set of makeup. I'm talking lashes, everything. And the first comment he got was from my dad.
Oh, he literally, we were engaged. He looked at me and just like shook his head. Like he wasn't being funny. He like shook his head like, what are you doing with your life? I was like, I'm sorry, dude. But
that's fun. Isaac and I actually have a bet, and I have always wanted to film that exact video where I do his makeup. And he was like, okay, 50,000 subscribers. You have to get there, and then I'll do it. And I'm just like, okay, here we go. Like,
I can't wait to watch that video.
Yeah, 50,000 subscribers.
I'm like, at that point, people they want to see other stuff. They don't need to see.
No, they want to see that.
No, that'll be the celebratory. We just hit 50,000.
Yeah,
maybe.
So you brought up something, and I want to try my best at explaining it. Why vlogging? There's an art form to it, and I was thinking the closest parallel you can make is like when you ask somebody how their day was. Very few people can actually tell a compelling story as to how their day went, and the fact of the talent and skill of being able to string together a story over a full day is hard, and you do it. You've done a great job at it for years, Allison. So respect. But
editing is like super hard.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
that's funny. I've actually never heard of that. Like, how can you make your day look interesting for people to watch? How can you make a chart strip look interesting? Yeah, quarantine definitely got sketchy. I was like, nobody wants to see me sitting on the couch.
But
they did.
But they kind of do. Yeah.
That's when you pull out the makeup on Isaac.
I don't know.
What do you view? You guys have a lot going on. A lot of really amazing things, talents you've been given. I'm curious, this is a big question,
Oh,
but I want you to give it
come
your best. What do you view as like your mission together as a couple? You know what
It
I'm
is-
saying?
it's
I
a-
feel like it's something great, but how do you view?
We have like, other than, we'll skip like the kind of like we want to just be madly in love. We'll skip that answer because that's kind of assumed.
Yeah.
I just think like we have a lot of like collectively we have a lot of like talents and like skills, and I'm really focused right now on just like maximizing us as like a couple. I don't know how to explain it, but like we're just doing some really cool things, and we have some things in the works that I would love to come to fruition and like look up and be like, wow, like we've just made some really good decisions. Like I'll give you an example. So we just started this Airbnb in Scottsdale. Like we just bought it in October, a house, fully renovated it. The thing is absolutely gorgeous. And it's done really well, but like that's something that I want to do with her and like absolutely dominate doing that as a couple. I don't even know if that answers your questions. We just have so many different things, which could include having like 10 golden retrievers.
Definitely.
I'm on board with that. We should get Nash in here.
We already got 2 golden retrievers now, so we just got 8 more.
No,
Wait,
we're not.
who's the new one behind you?
No, that's
So
a pillow.
she's not new.
Oh,
No, it's a dog.
that's not a pillow. That's a dog.
That is a dog.
Frankie.
Wow. That's a golden retriever?
Oh my
woke
gosh,
up on it.
she's so cute.
Oh, and then our other one's right over here. Come here.
So this
can't see her.
little girl we got yesterday, she's from China actually.
Wait.
So
What's the name?
Bugs Bunny or whatever.
Bunny is Bugs Buddies. Bunny's buddies.
Bunny's buddies.
So she's not from them, but she is
She
From
so
China.
she went through not of course I'm blanking.
Beagle's Freedom Project.
Yeah, Beagle's Freedom
Yeah.
Project. So, but she came from China. She was like gonna go to the meat trade, and now she's in Huntington Beach.
Oh, thank
Living
you
it
guys.
up. Wow.
The question about what?
What are we gonna like? What's the mission here?
I think I want to get to a point where Isaac and I are like doing Airbnbs and having so much fun doing them that it doesn't feel like work. And then also we love traveling. So I would just love to like, even when we have kids, just like go to so many countries, experience cultures, and just kind of like, I don't know. It's just life with your best friend. I'm excited. So
And then
cheesy.
speaking about mission, you guys also have Local Human, which feeds into the Do Good Foundation. Can you talk about how that got started? And
Well, so research has been done.
You gotta do
Merch has not been purchased yet, but soon. We'll get some shirts.
So Allie's less involved in Local Human now, but she was like pretty much you were designing like all the shirts initially. But
it all started during quarantine.
quarantine. It's quarantine. Our first shirt had quarantine on it, but it was just kind of something like both of us, we've done the mission trips. We've done kind of a lot of stuff to focus on giving back. And like us and some of our friends just kind of wanted to create something to really impact people. It was just, when COVID hit, we were all kind of in this weird space where we're like, one, we hate this. Two, we need to be doing more to give back. Like we all want to get involved. So we just wanted to help create something that could give people that opportunity. But yeah, that's been like a really cool venture, especially for me and being in the NFL. Like it's just been really cool to be able to exercise my want to give back.
But it also helps other people give back. So like every time you buy a shirt, a certain
amount of proceeds
go towards other things. So it's like you're allowing other people to help with those organizations that they care about too.
And
just cool.
Just to get a little bit more specific, we started it in May of last year to raise money for Meals on Wheels because we were like, man, the elderly population is getting tore up by COVID.
Yeah, dude.
So she designed a shirt, and then with that shirt, we donated, thousands of meals to Meals on Wheels just from selling them. So, it's just, again, just a really cool opportunity to give back.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Zola.
babe, we are on the verge of one of my favorite seasons.
What is that, summer?
No, wedding season.
Oh, I should have known that.
Yes, and with wedding season comes wedding planning. I loved planning my wedding.
Really?
I did. You didn't. I did. I had so much fun creating one of my favorite days, but it can also be overwhelming and stressful. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Zola, which is something I came across when we were planning our wedding.
Honestly, I had no idea that there were so many decisions that had to be made for a wedding, but Zola, thank goodness, makes wedding planning easier and less stressful by creating everything couples need all in one place. They have wedding vendors, they have save the dates and invitations, free websites, registry, and more.
All of the vendors on Zola are pre-screened and allows you to skip all of the back and forth. Plus, Zola will make suggestions based on your style and your budget.
My favorite part is the registry. They allow you to put all of your wish lists in one place, including gifts, experiences, and the cash funds, baby.
I do remember it was like a new thing when we got married.
Cash funds.
The cash fund was pretty great. But it was a new thing when we got married, and people were like, what is this Zola thing? And all of our guests loved it. It's all the information you could ever need for your wedding in one place.
That's right. So if you want to find out more, you can go to zola.com/couplethings today and use promo code SAVE50.
That's SAVE50 to get 50% off your save the dates.
You can also get free personalized paper samples before you purchase.
That's zola.com/couplethings.
Promo code SAVE50. We will also link that down below. Let's get back to it. I want to ask one more question before we close. In your podcast about dealing with racism, one of the things you said, Isaac, was you welcome judgment together as a couple. Why is that your attitude towards people's opinions?
Yeah, I just don't care. I mean, we live in a world where people are so quick to judge, and it's like we're so used to it now. Like, I don't care. If you have something to say, I don't care. And like, not only do I not care, like, you know, people say like bad press is good press. If y'all want to sit here and hate on us, like, you're still literally like supporting us, you know, indirectly. But I also Jinx, we're married.
I also
That was
think
crazy.
think it's a thing where it's like, okay, well, we're going to prove you wrong. Like, you can think whatever you want. We welcome your judgment, but your judgment doesn't affect us. We're still going to be doing us. We're going to be just fine, and we're going to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, and it's like, we love each other. It's kind of the same thing. You know, if you want to hate on us or like hate on like the concept of us, we're still rolling either way. Like, we're doing our thing. We're like, whatever, like all kind of like the basic answers, but it's so much bigger than some comments or whatever. Like, that doesn't matter.
Well, I love the team attitude it seems like you guys have together. And I think one unique thing that I encourage you to continue to do is your willingness to have a conversation with people who, as you said, might be ignorant in some degree, but like not caring in the sense of you realize that their opinion might just be coming from a bad place, not just absolutely not, not caring about who that person is. And anyway, so that's a little bit of a tangent, but I would love from the newlyweds.
Yes.
Oh,
Newlyweds. What is in the 4 days you've been married?
That's crazy.
What is the best piece of we'll do relationship. How about instead of marriage? What is the best piece of relationship advice you have been given or would give?
Remember what my dad said in his speech?
what?
This is a little inappropriate. My dad said that, and this is the best thing I've ever heard, and I can't believe he said this at my wedding, but he goes, whenever you're arguing, just get naked and the argument won't last long. And I'm just like, oh, God. But I think my best advice is look at your relationship as if you would look at it as your best friend. Don't fight each other, try and work together, because some of the things that stress me out, he's probably going to be stressed out too. So if I take my stress out on him, it's just going to make a bigger mess. So if I'm stressed about moving, I need to vocalize that stress so he doesn't feel like I'm attacking him, and just kind of be like, hey, how can we work on my stress together? And maybe it'll help you too. But definitely working as a team, that's been a huge thing and a huge place we've grown in our relationship over the past few years.
Totally. I'm trying to think of mine. I would say this, and this one needs a little explanation. So my dad used to always give me all this advice.
The dads are the best.
It's not don't marry
a shirt girl.
Yeah. I'm like, that's it. But no, he used to always tell me, at the end of the day, son, you can't raise somebody else's children. And it's just such a good piece of advice, because we talked about our challenges and we overcame those. But sometimes at the end of the day, you have to find somebody that you deeply love who they are at their core. And I feel like we found that, and like we can't like change who we are. We are who we are. We might come from different places and have different like external things, but like internally we are madly in love with who we are. So kind of like a weird piece of advice, but it's always held true. And yeah.
And now we're here married for 4 days.
4 whole days.
I think towards the beginning of the podcast, one of you said something to the effect of, you know, there's no new surprises or anything we don't know about the other person. And I believe that marriage is like the coolest thing ever. I don't care, you know, people read self-improvement books and listen to all these hype motivation speeches. I honestly think that marriage is the best form of that. And Shawn and I's 5-year anniversary is tomorrow, actually.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're excited, but it's kind of cool to see you guys who are newly married. And then we've been doing a lot of reflecting over our 5 years. And well, you'd say what you've been saying all along. Like if you could go back.
Well, it's so hard because you guys are literally in that position. But I remember our wedding day, and I remember thinking I was on top of the world. I could not get any higher. I could not love this man anymore. This is like the epitome of what fairy tales are. And I'm excited for you guys because 5 years in for us, we rewatched our wedding video, and I almost laugh at the people we were at our wedding in such a good way. But it's like your love becomes not just this superficial thing that you have. It becomes like your absolute core. And with every year that goes by, it gets better and better. With every argument, with every disagreement and loss and joy, it just becomes the coolest thing ever. And so, yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. And
it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's the best thing you'll ever do.
Did you just call their love superficial? Is that what?
Yeah.
You're like, you don't even know.
No, everybody says that though. They always say like, you know, well, people always go the first year is always the hardest. So like we kind of operate of like under the like framework that, yeah, like we don't expect like we've done this, but like you guys are obviously like way more seasoned than us. And it's like, we are like, who knows what challenges we'll face, but then you're like, all right,
you come out stronger on the other side. You have
I will say though, the first year, yes, I would agree. Looking back, it's the hardest, but when you go through it, it's not hard. Because I mean, does that make sense?
Like
Did you guys?
You're just living your first year, and it's crazy, and you're figuring out what it's like to be a married couple, which is in some way, shape, or form different than it was before, but it's still the best.
For sure. I was gonna ask real quick. Did you guys live together before you got married, or what was kind of like the process?
We were talking about this as we were watching your video. We did everything we could to not. So I come from a pretty conservative Christian background. Shawn's whole upbringing was way different because she was a professional athlete at 12. So we maintained separate living situations. Not that we always used our own individual, if that makes sense. So
on
it was like,
paper, we always had 2 homes.
Well, yeah, 2 apartments, but
yeah, we used
like
one.
me.
So you're like yes and no.
Yeah.
So then,
and as you guys know, with the NFL, it makes it so hard. You can't go to Kansas City and buy 2 apartments, and
literally can't.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah.
And then so not to just like extend the podcast, but
no,
we're changing positions now.
So
Go
then
ahead.
like from that like place, did you feel like you moved in and you were like, oh, we've done this before? Or did you move in and you were like, no, this is actually much different than having 2 separate spots?
after marriage, you mean?
Yeah.
Or living together. Well, I think marriage, I think the reason people say the first year of marriage is hard is because just like any major life change, like graduating from college or having a baby or getting married, there's like an identity shift that happens where you realize like, oh, it's not about Isaac anymore. It's not about Andrew. It's like and this is cliche, but it's like you are now considering a whole nother person's, how you're affecting that other person. And so there's like this identity shift that, you know, it takes a while to move into. I think we had a blast our first year, even though it was straight chaos.
Yeah.
So Shawn went on tour for like 3 months. I didn't see her. I was getting picked up and cut by teams. So I don't like, there was definitely conflict, but we always assumed that okay, like
Well,
it'll be over tomorrow, like this fight or whatever. So,
and there's this very strange little shift that you guys will feel over time when you go from being fiance to husband and wife, to where I feel like when it's fiance and dating, in the back of your mind, you're always trying to impress the other person because you're not quite crossed the
Right.
you're not across the finish line yet. As soon as you cross that finish line, it's like, oh, this is like my person. Like whatever, I got him. And whether you feel that or not, that starts to come out in lifestyle. And when we truly moved in together and had just our one place, it did feel a little different, but it's just because over time you're like, oh, I actually didn't really know that you didn't close cabinet doors. Like ever. Like ever.
bro, that's like the.
And
that's
like, I thought that
apparently
was like,
it might be my only flaw. I think.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I'm
just-
kidding.
You just start seeing the lifestyle, and it's a year of adjustment, but it's fun because you're like, I'm literally sharing space with my husband now.
You said that in like a bad way. I
No,
feel like
in
you're
a
saying
good.
that
It's like it's the best
resentful.
thing. It's just
The best thing when you have
man.
to close the cabinet doors.
it is, and you can't reach them.
I'm also excited for you. I don't know if you're going to be in Indianapolis during the Indy 500. Oh, you probably been because you went to Notre Dame.
No,
Oh,
I
you-
have. I mean, we're gonna.
Yeah, it was
do-
during football season.
We're
What are we
doing all
doing?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
it's
know what I was
into
doing. That's
May.
on me.
Once we end this podcast, I'm gonna get your number. We'll hang out. I go up there like 6 times a year, so would love
definitely
to
let
meet
you
you in
know.
person.
We
But
know absolutely nobody there, so
nice. It's a good place.
Not entirely
It's
true.
fun.
But
It's fun.
Well, Isaac, Allison, thank you so much for the time. I know you guys, probably will be getting a call from the hotel here saying that they're kicking you out, but it's a pleasure
Get
to
out.
meet you, and I'm excited for what's next for you.
thank you so much. It was nice to be on here. This was fun.
Yeah, it was so
Yeah.
much fun. Thank you guys
Yeah.
for having us.
Of course,
Yeah.
and congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Welcome to the best part of your life.
Oh, shit.
Going to church together and doing all these things. Wow, now we're getting phone calls.
Pick it up.
Yeah,
I'm
you're-
actually curious. Pick it up. I'm curious what's going to happen.
Like, sorry, you guys need to check out of your room now.
Oh, my gosh.
Hello?
Yes, wait, here we go. This is live.
Yeah, we're extending till 2:00. Thank you.
I'm sorry, guys.
No,
Tell me, this is awesome.
What if it was like the FBI on the other side and said, hey, we're locking down the hotel for the next 24 hours. You're stuck in. It would have
We'd
been
be-
crazy.
Like, that's clutch.
Yeah, this
We're gonna
is
hang out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.